Alright, we're recording now. So, once again, we're back at the Blackstone Temple, and I have another guest with me. Please introduce yourself, sir.
My name is Krst. I'm thankful to be here, and I would like to give props also to Reverend Mary Kara. We're broadcasting from the African Temple of Spiritual Science, and Mary Kara is the Reverend here, and I would just love to give him props because he has held it down here in the community for over 30 years and has been a leader to all of us in gaining this knowledge of oneself and knowing thyself. Myself, I'm just here to speak on, behalf of my brothers and sisters. And there's a lot of young people here on this planet. As African people, we make up the majority of the planet. So I want my brothers and sisters to know that you are not the minority, but that you are the majority. And we must change the mindset that we have if we want to change the outcome and the purpose, and our purpose here and for our children and generations to come. Because what I'm speaking on is that which we did in Nile Valley, that which we held as a people of greatness, that knowledge that is missing. Even when you look to yourself and wonder why there's no true African history being taught here in America. One of the reasons why is because of the greatness that comes forth out of that. We as a people have always been great from the beginning. Osar, Aset, those are our greatest relative and the relatives that we can go back to the beginning, which starts our creation story. Because there's a story beyond Christianity, beyond the Bible, that precedes the creation story, which is our creation story of how we started with Amen, Ptah, Ra, and the different temple sites that we held in Kemet, which is the land of the blacks. In those temple sites, there were a lot of knowledge going forth. As a matter of fact, to be a student in Kemet, you must go to school for 40 years before you can be a master teacher. And in those 40 years, there was a lot of knowledge going forth and being taught in that time period. So we must, as our African brothers have always told us, man, know thyself.
All right, I want to thank you for that. And the first question I want to ask you is, tell me just a little bit about Krst Unity Center, and tell us a little bit about what you guys do here.
Okay. Krst Unity Center is a center for African spiritual science. And what we're talking about is that we being a Kemetic people, a people of color, a people of spirituality, we did not dwell into religion. Religion divides, where spirituality unites. And we were a united people. We united ourselves under the umbrella of Ma'at. There are also 42 laws concerning Ma'at and the usage of it and the conduct of it as it pertains to ourselves and to others around us. We also believe within Ma'at not only to respect one's self, human beings, but everything within nature, because everything is everything. Everything is a part of the universe and the land and the place which we live. For instance, like now, we have a problem with the water. Well, in Nile Valley, we respected the water. Therefore, when it was time to produce the crops, the food, and so forth, the water would flow in to Nile Valley and respect us also.
I took a look at the website for Krst Unity Center of African Spiritual Science, and I came across this section titled Our Values, Practices, and Principles. Can you talk to me a little bit about one of the virtues known as control of thought?
Yes, with control of thought, most revered is that situation that took place between Osar and his brother Set. In that situation, you had two young princesses vying for the throne, and of course, Osar was the king. He exceeded his brother, or shall I say, he preceded him to gain the throne. And his brother, being jealous of him on several different issues, was and came against him and killed him. But even in the fact of him killing him, when Osar had the opportunity to have his son destroy his brother, rather than have him to destroy his brother and kill him, he had his son communicate the principles of Ma'at to him, in the fact that there was an agreement made between the two. They both, instead of killing one another in the battle, for instance, Set knocked out the eye of Haru. That is where you get your third eye from. And instead of Haru destroying his uncle in the battle, they both came to an agreement. That is control of thought and control of action.
So tell me a little bit about what type of significance do you feel that Krst Unity Center has in the Black community, and what type of positive work do you feel that Krst does for it?
Well, Krst in itself, the work that has done stands for itself. 30 years of a temple of African spiritual science to be able to stand and be here in a community that's ever changing, ever transforming. We're not talking about your posh neighborhood over in Beverly Hills or over in Westwood. We're talking here actually as what we call the central, Los Angeles, and things happen every day here. So, and in those things, and in that ever-changing economy, as well as dynamics, culture, and also things going on around it, to be here 30 years says a lot. What it offers to us as people of color as a way of truthfully getting an understanding of ourselves, who we are, our consciousness, what we believe in, what our ancestors believed in, where we come from, which also speaks to our diets, the way that we think, how we produce in society, not for someone else. What I'm talking about is how we produce in society as individuals, how we represent ourselves, how we love one another, how we treat one another, as far as like control of thought and control of action, teaching those principles, how to get along with our brethren, how to work together in unity, and also when you have somebody that is trying to control you, how to not allow that person to control you in any way, from your thoughts to your actions to your reactions, and to how you operate and do things on a daily basis.
We were having a very interesting conversation outside just before we started the interview, where you talked about the relationship between the youth and the elders, and how the youth, it's the responsibility of the youth essentially to lead up, to rise up and lead the nation. What do you feel is the responsibility of the youth today as far as leading black people and influencing black people to change their lives for the better?
Well, right now, even as we sit here and as I speak to all my brothers and sisters, the youth particularly have a very interesting position in society today. We are definitely, as you know, all the children here are the future. And being the future, we also not only have a moral obligation, a physical obligation, as well as a spiritual obligation to rise up and to gain the consciousness, the knowledge, the teaching, to become scholars, leaders. As we see, we have no one that we can call or one person we can point to as our leaders on today. So we think. But there are scholars here at Krst. There are teachers here as well. There are those who have ancient knowledge, of oneself and the history that we brought out of Africa. As you know, when we were brought here from Africa, we were stripped of a lot of the knowledge, a lot of the understanding, a lot of the truth, a lot of our culture and heritage. On the basis of Krst Unity Center, we bring forth as much as we can, as much as we know, that knowledge back into the community, that knowledge back unto our brothers and sisters, that knowledge of our history, our culture, how we lived, what we believed, what is it that we took examples from, and how we can all throw that into together into even what's going on today to make ourselves better and to further ourselves, to bring forth a solution and progress within ourselves. The country is in, a time of need for great leadership. Even when you look at your elections and the presidential election going on now today, that's what they're vying for, that leadership, somebody to lead, and we, as young people, we have an obligation to learn, to rise up, that we can lead.
So Krst has a strong emphasis, or at least I should say, they have a foundation in the Nile Valley. How important do you feel it is for people to not only study the teachings of the Nile Valley, but to actually make the physical trip to go and see it for themselves today?
Without question, to go and see what our culture and our history is today in Africa is one of the most powerful things you can do, because now you begin to vibe with the energy that is there. Also, that energy which our ancestors have left there, the writings, the temple sites, the actual, be able to touch the actual stones which your ancestors wrote upon, the history, the culture. There's so much in depth that is there, even when you're talking about the diggings that are going on now to get the knowledge that was once lost. And I really thank Unterbi, because he, the sustaining force of all life here upon earth and the supreme being, that he has also kept to the point that we have not lost all the knowledge, and we have not lost our culture and who we are. And as far as the importance of the knowledge today is that we can build not only where we were, but beyond that, because knowledge is king. First of all, it is king because it helps you to know that others cannot control you. It makes you knowledgeable of things that are both now here and as well as what took place in the past. Because as we know, and as the saying is, to order to know where you are going, where you're going, you must know where you came from. And that is so important when you talk about our culture and our history, not just from the Nile Valley perspective. I must give respect to all my ancestors on the African and that went over all the diasporas of the world. This culture when we speak of African people is ever changing. You know, we were not just a one-track, one-minded type of people. As we went throughout the diasporas of the world, we began to regain some of the things that we lost. Some things in different dynasties even were changed because of what was lost. But what we did not lose is that which was the core of that knowledge of who we are, and to move forward with what we knew and that which was imprinted in our DNA and in our hearts, to go forth and to be the people that we are, a great people, a people not only of color, but a people of multifaceted, you know, of different cultures. When I even look at, Greece, a lot of people don't know that the Greeks were black. You know, the first Greeks were black. They came from a specific, a small island there in Greece in the beginning. And even the European Greeks point to them and look back to them to say that they were the ones to whom we learned from, and gathered knowledge. We began as a people to go over all the diasporas of the world. So when you speak of African people, you're talking about many cultures on the face of the planet, because we being the first woman and man here upon earth. And after that, all things began to grow out of that. We looked at nature. We looked at the stars. A lot of you people, or should I say, I wouldn't say you people, a lot of our people, black people, don't know that we have been studying in school black science. The word, when you talk about chemistry, that word, when you're looking at the root word kemet, kemet means the land of the black. And when you put that word chemistry together, you're talking about the black science, as I have learned from other scholars before myself. And I want to give great props to them, not coming as one, who has just picked up this knowledge and learned it. I must give props to those who were here before me. And that's why it's so important to study about your ancestors and those that came on before you. Because as we did in Kemet, the knowledge was gained through, first of all, Osar. He was a husbandman. And when he gained the knowledge of how to be a husbandman and tilling the ground, and bringing forth food, and things that would feed a nation of people, he also began to go up into Kemet and teach all over Africa. And then even in Kemet, he became great there as a husbandman and taught more of the people. And they passed that knowledge on to their children and their children and their children. And that's how knowledge is always retained. It is very important to retain knowledge. It is very important for the passing on of knowledge, both old and new. Communication rules the world. And we need to communicate also as a people of color on all levels, in all things, not only in business, on the economical growth of things, but spiritually. We need to communicate on natural level, economical level, sociologically, physiologically. In every area that we can communicate as people of color and come together and unify, we must do so. It is so important that we unify, because we also in Nile Valley have a belief. And that belief was this. When I said it, Everything is everything. Whatever I did in Nile Valley, if I did something wrong, it would affect my brothers and sisters. If I did something right, it would affect my brothers and sisters. We, by doing the right thing of communicating, connecting with one another, we can bring forth growth. We can bring forth progress. We can bring forth degrees of greatness. And we can also regain that which, like as I said, when I look at Osar, how he taught, first of all, the black Kemet, there in Kemet, and taught the black people, and then began to take it to other nations across the world. And we must do the same thing. We must teach. We must learn. And we must learn correctly. That's why we must look to our scholars. That's why we must, if anything, I may say, and I will say this on the basis of the person who taught me, Mr. Shechem. It is very important that we teach one another. It is very important that when we are teaching, that we don't give the people a glass with water that has been poured in with ink, but that we give them pure water, pure knowledge. And the only way you're going to get that knowledge is by listening to our scholars, by studying, by doing the research and doing the scholarly work. And once you do the scholarly work, you yourself become not only knowledgeable, but even confident in knowing what it is that you are teaching. And therefore, if someone wants to even debate that issue or communicate with you on that issue, you're able to communicate in a positive manner, even having the right vibe when you're communicating. And even those vibrations in how you're communicating with one another mean so much. I mean, we cover so multifaceted. We cover so much in Nile Valley, from the way that we speak and what we speak of, how we pronounce our words. All of it had a reason. All of it had something other that was behind it, a reason behind it, why we spoke those words, why we spoke and continue to speak the words of our ancestors who have gone on and passed away. It's even why you continue to speak grandmama's name today. Came all the way from Nile Valley. It is one of the reasons why you speak so highly of your grandmother, your grandfather, till this day. It is one of the reasons why you speak so greatly of your ancestors that has gone on before you, meaning those that which were older, that were buried before you. It is the reason why you should keep those names upon your tongues, especially those who you knew lived and tried to observe and operate and tried to give forth and bring forth righteousness in this world and live a proper life. You're giving homage and honor unto them. Not only that, you are continuing to allow them to be an ancestor, to be great, because you're continuing to speak their names. You're allowing them to live forever and ever and ever and ever. And as long as you speak the names of your ancestors, you continue to allow them to live on and to be remembered.
All right. And finally, my last question would be, in 2015, what do you feel is the current state of the black community, particularly here in Los Angeles? And what are some changes that you hope to see in the near future?
The black community here in Los Angeles, the current state is, I see that, we have scratched the surface. We have gotten and gained a lot of knowledge, of oneself, of our history and our different cultures. But what I don't see is the unification of those things. We have been so forth at odds against each other, talking about one group and, well, I'm Kemetic and, I'm something else and I'm different and I'm that. No, we are all up under the umbrella of African people, and we are all truly African people. Now, as well as in Africa, they was not just Kemet, Kemet is spoken of because it's one of the greatest societies that was built up in that time period, and they rose themselves to a position of being high society, and not only that, it was the point where everything crescendoed in Africa. It was the climax point. I would reference it to if you're reading a book. It was a place where great things came out of. Everybody wanted to go there. Everybody wanted to see Kemet and the things that it produced, from its jewelry to its great writings, to the kings that were there, to the high society that was going on there, to the knowledge, and I have to give reverence to the priests, the temple sites, the teaching, So anytime you have teaching going on, along with knowledge coming forth, along with high society, along with just a multiplicity of great things coming forth, even today, which still stands, you have people that want to go there and want to be a part of that. And that's what Kemet was in Africa. And so that being the place, that's where we come to that place of looking at Kemet and all the other cultures who wanted to, conquer it and take over and so forth. They looked to that. But in Africa, you had a lot of different other cultures as well. There was no just one way of looking at things, But even in all those cultures, we agreed to unite in Africa under that umbrella, which is called Ma'at. We had a system by which we lived, and which were conducts and rules for living. Basically something similar to what we call law here. There were 42 principles of Ma'at, and it taught us how we conduct ourselves, with our neighbors, with ourselves, with the land around us, with the animals, and with nature. It covered all these things that we are to be involved in and also interact with on a daily basis. And so in that situation, what I don't see is us uniting, because under the umbrella of Ma'at, we united. We respected one another. I respected your African beliefs. You respected my African beliefs. If I went into a town and they worshiped the deity Amun, and in my hometown I worship the deity Ptah, I would still respect you and your worship of that deity Amun. I would not enforce my beliefs in Ptah upon you, but rather understand and respect your belief of Amun. And if vice versa, if me being a believer in Amun, which I am, would go into a place where they looked and respected the deity of Ptah, or Ra, I would go in there and I would respect their belief in that deity. I would not disrespect the belief or the culture of the people in another town or another land. That was not of us, but yet we respected that and we communicated on the basis of which we agreed upon. And we worked together in unity. We were not barbaric people. We were a civilized people with a civilized system for living. And that culture in Kemet was Ma'at and the 42 principles of Ma'at, which are highly regarded even still to this day, some 6,000 years or more later.
That was very interesting and very informative interview. I definitely have to say I learned a lot in this short amount of time, but I definitely want to thank you for being a guest, and I want to thank you for taking the time out to acknowledge me and allow me to be here as well. So I just want to say thank you for being a guest on the Blackstone Temple, and hopefully it won't be the last time.
I appreciate the invite. I appreciate to be able to speak before you, to my sisters and brothers. And one thing that I would like to say from my heart, most importantly, is that we must show love to one another. Meaning not that physical form of love, but that love which comes from our heart. Meaning in respecting one another and what we do in this daily life. We are all united still to this day under one umbrella. You know, people of color are of one and should be, you know, working together as one. And as I said, it is just like the Shanu, which you see there in the writings of the Peri Haru. That Shanu is a circle. That circle represents not 360 degrees, my brother, but everything being everything. And everything being everything. Meaning we all having all in common. If I'm hungry, feed me. If I need knowledge, help me. If I can be helped, direct me. Teach me. If I don't know, show me. If I need a hand, pull me up. If I need love, love me. If I need to be understood, be patient and understand me. Let that be the thoughts of my heart resonating to all the young black people here in America and all over the diasporas of the world, and also the old. Let us learn from the old that will give us the knowledge. Respect them. Respect the old. Let us listen to the knowledge. Let us learn from that knowledge and learn how to take that knowledge and transform it, that we could put it to practice today to not only respect the greatness of our ancestors. We talk about how great they were, but we have as yet to speak about how great we shall be. And that is the transformation process. That is the Kepra. That is where, when you look at biblical scripture, even they talk about how Christ said, great I am, but greater things shall man do. Or great things have I done, but greater things than these shall man do. Which was even stolen from your own legacy. Because we as people have yet to see how great we can be. Let us continue to do our best to be great in whatever it is that we choose to take up and to make a part of us, or as our mission, or as we say, our purpose for life. Don't just be good at it. Be great at what you do. And let that be the words from my mouth. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Osar, and that great deity, which also is Jehudi, the deity of word and writing.